Well, there is that suspicion. Many people would say, well, is this, Russian-Chinese deal, the BRICS concept, is this just more of the Hegelian dialectic? Is Russia still under the influence of the Rothschilds and this sort of international banking system, or is has Russia really separated? Is Putin really a nationalist and separate from that international octopus of finance?
I was invited to speak at a Moscow Economic Forum 2 weeks ago in Russia, and I had a chance to talk with and hear many, many different Russian economists, government people, and so forth. Glaziev, the man who's directly responsible for Ukraine under Putin. And this is not a Rothschild entity. The Yukos Hodorkovsky arrest back in 2007, 2008, by Putin's people was a direct attack on the Rothschild interests. Hodorkovsky was a business partner in his Open Russia Foundation with Lord Rothschild of London. So, Putin is definitely no friend of the Rothschilds. The problem is, under Medvedev, a faction of the Russian oligarchs said, our bread is better buttered in the West than it is in the East. We'll do deals with London, with New York, with US banks and so forth. And under Yeltsin's span in the 90s, the central bank became a central bank, no longer a state bank, which is a critical thing for national economic sovereignty of any nation. That's what happened when the US got the Federal Reserve, which is a private central bank owned by private banking interests and not by the government and the taxpayers and the citizens of the United States. So Russia right now is vulnerable to all sorts of IMF kind of shenanigans, pressures from the US Treasury Office of Economic Terrorism, I call it, who are putting pressure on all of the major companies, including Gazprom, in terms of their refinancing needs in the dollar sector from Western banks. So Russia is facing a crossroads right now, where Putin and the people around him, it is a nationalist faction, no question about it, with different currents within that nationalist faction, that they have to take emergency measures to propose a change in the Russian constitution to recreate a public bank, a state bank, central bank, so that they can control the issuance of credit and not the Wall Street and City of London banks that control it through the international currency markets. And the second thing they need to do is clean house with all the US-educated finance ministers and bureaucrats under Medvedev, who's the prime minister, that are proteges of Yegor Gaidar and the whole Yeltsin era, and focus on developing the basic infrastructure, join up wholeheartedly with the New Silk Road project of China through Central Asia onto Europe, make the economic development happen, and that can only happen if you have a state bank directing credit, like under Sergej, which I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with back in the 1880s, who was finance minister and later prime minister under Tsar Nicholas II, and he created the Trans-Siberian Railway as a major development that bound Russia, the vast land area of Russia, the largest on earth of any country, into a unity. And that was the first step. We need to vastly expand on that.
But the argument is that Putin has done a lot in terms of reforming the economy of Russia post Yeltsin, but the perception is the problem is he's staked so much of it upon gas and oil, and oil, and obviously that's part of why he's solidifying his rule in the Crimea, right, to make sure that they have access to the gas from the Caspian, right, the Caspian Sea.
Well, there's another aspect to the Crimea, and that is military. That's the Black Sea Fleet of Russia is stationed there and has been for 200 years. And were they to lose that Black Sea naval access, that would be a catastrophic military defeat, because it would be replaced by a NATO force under the permission of the rogue government in Kiev that the U.S. Victoria Nuland, the State Department, and the CIA put into power last February a year ago.